All right, so guys, welcome to today's tutorial, and then we're going to be dealing with cleaning and transforming data. So we're going to be opening a new report first, so we can begin that. Today we'll be talking about cleaning and transforming data. Cleaning and transforming data. We're opening a new instance of Power BI, and then let's see how that's going to play out for us. All right. Meanwhile, this one at the behind here, I'm going to close this. All right. Okay, now a new instance of Power BI is being opened for us so that we can begin in earnest. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be dealing with cleaning and transforming data in Power BI, and the file we're going to be using is the sample support store file. All right, the sample support store file. Now, the sample support store file actually is an Excel file. So we're going to get data from Excel source right here. So we're importing data from Microsoft Excel. All right, so I'm clicking on this. I'm clicking on this, and automatically now all my Excel files come out, and sample support store is what I'm looking for. I double click and it's being loaded into our Power BI desktop. All right, so we're going to be seeing how to perform some data shaping. Now, data shaping simply means cleaning, means transforming data by renaming columns, renaming tables, removing rows, setting the first row as headers, and all of that and all of that. All right, so while this is loading, we're going to select all three tables that we have in the sample superstore. All right, then we're going to load it into our Power BI desktop. All right, so while the queries are being processed, and we were talking about data shaping. So data shaping, like I said, means transforming data by renaming columns and tables, removing rows, setting the first row and as headers, etc. It just means it is a place where we can actually do some data cleaning. All right, so we remove the unwanted data and then we keep the ones we want. So that's what we're going to be performing right now and real quick. All right, so the tables are being loaded into the Power BI desktop. Sometimes it takes a little time because Power BI is quite heavy on application. All right, so all three tables have been loaded now. So we have the orders table here, and then we can expand that to see all the fields that we have under the orders table. Then we have the returns table. We can see order, ID, and status, and also we have the users table. Let's see what we have in the users table. Now, there's something about the users table. We're having column 1 and column 2. This one is not quite descriptive of the kind of data that we have in the users table. But because of that, we're going to be, we are going to really take a real deep dive into it and then understand why this is so, and then we're going to perform some data shaping. All right, so at the moment, we are in the report view. Let's get into, let's look at it from the table view. All right, we can see everything there. Let's check the returns. Let's check the users table. So in the users table, we have in column 1 and column 2, we have region and manager, all that information, right? So it means that there's something we can do to really affect the change that we want. So consequent upon that, let's get back to home. We get back home and then get back to our report view, right? So now that we're in that report view, and then we can simply come and click on here. We're going to be connecting to the Power Query editor, right? So we click on this thing, all right? This icon actually will lead us to the Power Query editor. Yours may not look exactly like this, but something like this. And click on it, Power Query editor is going to be connected now. Now, Power Query editor is actually like an extension of the Power BI desktop. It is the environment where you can perform the transformation that you want to perform. All right, so real quick, we're going to see that as we progress. All right, so now on the left side of your Power Query editor, you can find the orders, the returns, and the users. Now, there are core queries here. The tables in the Power BI desktop are actually core queries in the Power Query editor. Right, then we're going to see how to perform some transformation real quick. Okay, all right, so our point of concentration actually is on the user's query or the user's table here. There are some things we're going to change about that because we saw column 1 and we saw column 2 here. Those are not really descriptive of the kind of data that this table actually is holding. Right. One thing we can observe here is that this table is actually not the user's table, it's actually manager's table because we have region and we have manager. We have 4 regions and we have 4 managers. So this should be called a regions table and not a manager's. It should be called a manager's table and not a user's table. So first transformation we're going to be performing is to change these users to the managers. So what do? We go to the users, then we right click like this, and then we rename it. We name it to what? Managers. So we call this managers. All right. Then we enter. All right. So that's the first transformation that have happened. Okay. The next thing we're going to be doing is looking at the column 1 and column 2. It's not really descriptive of what it's supposed to be. Therefore, we are going to do something. Where we have the transform panel here, we're going to go to use first row as headers. Now, on the drop down, we have use first row as headers, use headers as the first row. We are concerned with using the first row as headers. So we click on that. All right, automatically we see that the first rule we had was region and manager. So they have been used as the headers or the few names of this particular table. All right, so that's that. And the next thing we're going to be performing, looking at this manager, we're going to like duplicate this manager column. How do we do that? Why are we going to do that? So that we can have manager first and then manager last. So I'm going to right click like this, and then I say duplicate column. Now we have manager and we have manager copy. For the first one, manager, I'm going to rename this by simply double clicking on the manager, and I'll say manager underscore last. All right, and then this one, another way you can do that is just to right click and then you can rename it manager. Oh, manager last. Actually, this should be manager last. All right. And then this should be manager first. All right. So these are very cool transformations that have happened already. And then it's a very cool transformation that will be happening. All right, so let's move real quick. Okay. All right. The next thing we're going to be doing is that we have manager first to be Chris, and then manager last is also Chris here. We're going to be replacing Chris with something else. So we're going to replace manager manager Chris. His last name will be, I'll replace Chris with what? With Evans. So I'm going to right click here, and then I say replace values now. So where I have Chris, I'll replace it with Evans, like so, and then okay. I'll do the same thing for Erin here. Where I have Erin, I'm going to replace Erin values, replace Erin with Rogers. Okay, and then I'm going to replace Sam. I'll replace Sam with Smith. And then I'm going to replace Williams with Jackson. I'll replace Williams with Jackson. Okay, so Jackson is being replaced here. Okay. All right, so the spelling is now correct. Okay, so having done that, now we've performed some very good transformation now. Now there's something we really need to take note of now. On the right side, where we have the properties panel, query settings here, we have apply step. Every transformation that we perform is being recorded here. All right, everything that we're doing here is being recorded here, so that instead of me to like undo, I want to undo any step that I did before, I can simply just close it here, like replace this last one, the last information we just did, replace the replacement. I'll just close it, and then we see, did you see that the Williams here is being returned back now? We changed Williams to Jackson. All right, so it has now gone back again to William. All right, so that's what happened. The apply steps is being recorded for you in case you really want to make some changes. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to change this William back to Jackson. So replace values with Jackson. All right, Jackson, and that's it. And then we okay. All right, so we have performed the transformation we want to on the orders table, which we now turn to the managers table, or the users table, which we now change to managers table. Now, let's perform some transformation in the orders table. All right, so I'm going to click on the orders table here, and then it opens for us to see. Now we can see that it has quite a number of rows. We have 24 columns here and 999 plus rows. We are not going to use all 24 columns. How did I know that? Looking at the status bar here, you can see that information. Well, let's see how to reduce some of the columns. Now, what we're going to be doing here is straight up, we go to where we have the choose column. We have choose column. Under the manage column, we have choose column, we have remove column. Now, the remove column is actually a destructive way of transforming data, because once you do that, it's undone. Once you do that, it's gone for real. You can't bring it back. If you don't removing column straight up, what if you want to keep that column maybe in the future again? You want to make reference to that. That's why we're going to be using the choose column, right? The choose column. All right, so we choose column. All right, now that we have a choose column, we have this dialog coming up, and then we have all the respective columns that make up this editor. The data set is brought out for us to see, and then we are now going to select the columns that we want to deal with. All right, so we're going to select every of the columns, and then particularly we're going to choose the columns that we want. Okay. All right, so the ones we are looking for, one is the row ID. So we select row ID, we bring row ID, order priority, and then state or province, and then we're looking at product base. We go scroll down. Product base. Sorry. Okay. Product base margin is here, and then quantity ordered new. So these are the 5 columns. Now imagine bringing all columns here, the irrelevant columns. Now it will make my work too bulky. And then so we're going to select the data. This is the data cleaning we are doing. Pick the ones we want, and the ones we don't need, we don't let them go. All right. So all these 5 columns now, and then what do we do? Voila, okay. All right, so we now have a shrinked number of columns now. So we have row ID, order priority, product base margin, and then state of province and quantity ordered new. All right, now I'm still going to perform some transformation here. So where we have the state of province, I'm going to select the filter buttons here. Now, there's something we can see here. This may be incomplete now. It means that there are some other items that make up this list. Okay, so we can pick this load mode. It will review all the other information that we want to see. So here I'm going to be selecting just a few states here. I'll be selecting first of all, select this one, so I can select the following state. I don't want all the states here. I'm looking for only Arizona. I'll select Arizona, California, and then Florida, and then New Jersey. Let's scroll down for New Jersey. New Jersey. Can you help me find it? New Jersey and New York. All right. Okay. All right. So that's that. And then having that done, I can now okay. So those are the 4 columns. Those are the 5 states that we're dealing with. And then we're not done with the transformation. I'll still go back to that filters, and then I'm going to be sorting them in ascending order. All right, so ascending order, like so, and I have Arizona coming first and the rest of the state coming. I'm not still done. I'm going to rename the state of province to, that's the column here, the few name here. I'm going to rename it to I'm going to rename it to the state. So I double click, and then I call this just state. All right, and I enter. All right, so we've been able to perform some data transformation at the Power Query editor. Now, once we're done with this, what we're going to do now is to close and apply. But whatever we're doing here will not be reflected on the Power BI desktop. We have to close and apply everything, all the transformation and all data shaping we did here, that this be reflected in our Power BI desktop. So remember that the Power the Power Query Editor is kind of like an extension of the Power BI desktop. It's a standalone transformation environment. All right, so we're going to close and apply here like this. All right, so you see it's being loaded back. So you can see that it's being reflected here. The changes are being reflected here. So we have the managers, we have the orders, we have the returns. All the information is now being made here for us to see. All right. All that. So that's the size of the class now. You've been able to learn how to do some transformation, leadership using the Power Query Editor in Power BI. All right, so that's all the class today. Make sure to rewatch this video, and if you have any question, drop it at the comment section, and also give the video a thumbs up. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.